Welcome to the Black Box, where music takes centre stage with nothing to hide. Tonight we're joined by Ember, a duo who never planned to be a band but found something special along the way. Ember, welcome.
Hello.
Take us back to that moment when you realised this was more than just a one-off collaboration.
Okay, so we were working on some tracks for Becky in the studio. One of which was R&B. That was the first one, like an R&B style track. And then Becky brought the second track, and it wasn't R&B.
Nope.
No, it was quite cinematic in a way. So we worked on that for a bit.
Yeah.
And then we ended up doing an EP of those tracks, which has still not seen the light of day.
No.
But while we were doing that, we were messing around on the piano, singing along some of the songs, and we fell into that octave vocal that you'll hear, and we enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it kind of that's sort of where we began, and then it sort of created the spark to keep us the momentum up, and then we've sort of developed, haven't we, over all these years?
Yeah, but kept that octave vocal pretty much.
Absolutely.
Speaking of that creative spark, what's the first song you're going to play for us?
So the first song we're going to play is called What About Us?
Yeah, and this is written about a relationship that's kind of come to the end. One person is really wanting to sort of stay in it, and the other person is sort of ready to go. So that's where we came up with the idea, and yeah, this is What About Us. We're two worlds in one, me and you. Water and fire, you know it's true. Then we meet in the middle, jealous too. What about us? What about us? Forgive when we're wrong, will lead us to make stronger bonds to see us through. Respect our faults, take this somewhere new. What about us? What about us? Our frequencies won't flow the same, but that don't mean it's wrong. Couldn't stand a day without you. We can't keep going on with feelings that we've made. Could we meet halfway, don't draw the line. So what about us? What about us? What about us? What about us? We're two worlds in one, me and you. Water and fire, you know it's true. Can we meet in the middle? Jealous too. What about us?
What about
us?
What about us?
What about us?
What about us?
What about us?
What about us?
What about us?
What about us?
What about us?
Your sound has a cinematic quality, almost like it belongs in a film or the soundtrack to a perfect moment. What kind of music shaped you both growing up?
So it's definitely a mixture on my part. When I was younger, my mum was into Jamiroquai, Mary J. Blige, and then my dad was into The Who and the Carpenters. So it was very mixed. And Keane, huge Keane fan still. Yeah, Keane are great. And but then when I was in school, through GCSEs and stuff like that, I really struggled to revise, and I needed to find music without lyrics in, because obviously being a vocalist, constantly distracted by singing people's melody parts. So I fell in love with Hans Zimmer and fell in love with just film soundtracks from so many different ones. But Hans Zimmer was the Gladiator soundtrack. Literally, yeah, just kind of Interstellar.
Oh, another good one.
Yeah,
I mean,
so yeah, I mean, we could keep going, but that it was the sort of the pinnacle for me. And then that's when I fell in love with that feeling that we talk about a lot, which is that sort of euphoric feeling through cinematic songs.
Yeah. So it's a soundscape kind of thing that makes you feel something.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's what we try and make sure that we're always feeling. Doesn't matter if our songs aren't necessarily cinematic, even if the ballads and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's just creating a nice warm sound with depth to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I started off with, I mean, it was prog rock and
nice
and rock into heavy metal music. So a completely different side of things. But then when I was at school, I was in all the bands and orchestras and choirs. So that sort of took me to performing in cathedrals and things. So you have that big space and with an orchestra, it's power.
Oh, it just feels so good. Yeah, and
together.
but you can see that's obviously that's what we actually bonded over immediately, wasn't it? We didn't realise how similar we were with cinematic music. So that was, positive.
You have quite distinct roles when writing. Jason, you're on piano and lyrics, and Becky, you're on melodies and lyrics. How does that process work? Do you usually start with a feeling or an idea, or does it all just come together in a moment?
Kind of varies, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely varies.
A lot of the time we write, the keys parts come in the moment.
Yes, very much so.
But a lot of the time lyrics are written separately by either of us, and we'll bring
them in. Yeah, and sometimes it's like I've maybe written a verse or you've written a verse, and then it's like, does it fit in this song? If it doesn't, then we move on. But a lot of the time, it's all very much in the moment. We like to finish idea, or at least have a good idea where a song's going. Yeah. So we never like to sort of be like, I have this idea, and then never give it a go. So that's how we sort of work. But it's a lot of it's in the moment, I'd say.
Your music videos, What About Us and Friend of Mine, as well as your latest photography, have been brought to life by Camille Hewitt, an artist known for her striking visual storytelling. How did you start working together, and how did she help you translate your music into powerful imagery that reflects the emotions and themes of your songs?
Yeah, so Millie I've known for years, and I just knew when me and Jay started doing our Ember stuff and our songs were started developing, I knew that she would have been one of the best people to sort of bring our vision to life.
It's really tricky and a very special talent to draw vision from music.
Yeah, and that was something that Millie just displayed immediately. And we trust, like we have a level of trust with her, and when we have songs, we feel less pressure on our part to try and come up with creative ideas. Like we're not trying to pretend,
Yeah, when you're involved in the music side, it's kind of
it's like your own thing.
like the business side, the artwork side.
Yeah, absolutely. Videos. And I think that's where she just fell into it really nicely. And we've worked really close with Millie for a few of our stuff now, which is fab.
Some songs feel like they arrive fully formed and others take time to evolve. Have you ever had a track come together in a way that surprised you?
Actually, that track that we just played, What About Us?
Yeah.
That happened really quickly, I think.
Yeah, it did. I think you came up with a da 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 da.
Yeah, and I don't know how that ideas just come from.
No,
somewhere.
I have literally not a clue.
It's about playing around on the keyboard, and it just comes. Yeah. Something comes out, you pick it out.
And you will just keep playing idea. Like the thing is about Jace is that if there's, I might be go to the toilet, go make a cup of tea, and Jace sometimes will just sit there until your idea's sort of formed enough.
Yeah.
So you kind of go, I have this part, let me keep going. And I think that's what happened with What About Us. And then naturally we just fell into 2 us and 1. So that was very
then
sort
comes of. After that we'd write it all straight.
Yeah,
away.
we wrote all the whole thing
and record it.
And and then we're like, oh wow, that was handy. I wish that every song went like that, but it's not really the case.
And speaking of songs that mean something, tell us about the next track and why it stands out for you.
So this next one's called Friend of Mine. And it means quite a lot to us, this one. This is another sort of about a relationship where someone is needs you, and you can't really be there as much as you want to be.
Yeah, it's like a personal guilt story in
Yeah.
that you wish that you can be there for somebody who needs you, and sometimes you're not, and sometimes that's your fault. Sometimes you can't help it.
Yeah,
One of those.
and I think that's where we started. Just the feeling came from.
I waste my time in the undergrowth, trying to find an answer, losing myself in the thick of it, thinking of this friend of mine. Every day I lose control, I'm heading down a path, looking for the way back, thinking of this friend of mine. You have troubles beyond that of mine. I'm gonna give you much more of my time. State of uncertainty, gonna leave it all behind. Ooh. 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 No, I don't drop everything. Several missed calls a day, spending time inside my head, thinking of this friend of mine. I can't remember this journey. I've driven 100 miles. My mind is turning constantly, thinking of this friend of mine. You have troubles beyond that of mine. I'm gonna give you much more of my time. State of uncertainty, gonna leave it all behind. Ooh. Ooh. Who's thinking of this friend of mine? Ooh, ooh, who's thinking of this friend of mine? You have troubles beyond that of mine. I'm gonna give you much more of my time. State of uncertainty, gonna leave it all behind.
You perform both stripped-back acoustic sets and bigger electronic versions of your songs. How does it feel switching between the two, and do you have a favourite way to perform?
It's definitely changed over time for me personally. I've never really performed much with track at all, so that sort of electronic in-ear situation. I've always been acoustic, singing at pubs or anything like that. But I've found a new love in performing with our electronic set. I feel like it makes me feel quite safe. And I feel like the acoustic now definitely feels more vulnerable than it used to. In a nice way, though. But I feel like, I think they both have such... I enjoy them both.
They're both very different, but they both have their
Positives.
feelings.
Absolutely.
So you think that the tracks behind you feel comfortable because there's a lot of other stuff going on?
Yeah, I also feel like because I can't hear anything, like I'm in my own little...
With these in?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what my hair was, but in my own little space.
I quite like the intimate gigs because
Yeah.
my microphone technique isn't that great because I haven't been singing as much as Becky. But when you haven't got a microphone and you've got a keyboard with a little speaker,
so that's my worst nightmare.
Is it? So we're the opposite.
Yeah, like I need amplification. It makes me make
you just
sure
want
that...
to be heard.
Do you know what? I think that might be it. I do. I just love a microphone. I think it's really important for singers.
Yeah.
talk
fair
about vocal health and all.
enough. Okay.
But
We could
but-
go on.
yeah, but I do think that they are both. They're definitely on par for like. Yeah, for me personally.
Live performances always have surprises. Have you had any moments on stage where things didn't quite go to plan?
Me.
You.
I mean, I think personally, every time I open my mouth on the stage,
Yeah, agreed.
do you know what it is? I just get this, I'll just keep going. And I can see Jace looking at me going like, come on.
Sometimes I'll just start the next track to stop us
Yeah,
talking.
he will. He literally will just start playing. And then now we're going to go into this one. So, yeah,
No, it's
me.
not that bad though, is it?
No, but I just love a chin wag.
Okay.
But your thing, I say our thing, is lyrics as well.
We both, there's some songs that are quite a bit tricky. We started actually writing music to write simple-ish music that has repetitive stuff.
Yeah.
For two reasons. That it becomes a bit catchy and that we don't forget it. But that hasn't happened.
No,
So
still an issue.
Still happens. And
Yeah.
also, I tend to write some notes. I don't know if you can see it, but there's some notes on here and here, not applicable to this recording session. But when the lights go down, I can't read them anyway. So
it's
it's
so
actually quite bad.
pointless. Oh dear.
But yeah.
You've both come from quite different musical backgrounds. Becky, you've spent most of your life focused on vocals, and Jason, you've always been about the instruments. You must have learned quite a lot from each other.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, with Jace, it's the sound and it's the production. I mean, watching him work through all our sort of songs that are out now, I've learnt so much, and I've learnt all about sort of writing with people as well and collaborating. And he's always been so good at not making me ever feel stupid with questions. I mean, I do sometimes ask stupid questions.
I do sometimes make you feel stupid about it.
But some musical ideas, Jace is so good at just being like, no, let's like run the course and let's just check. So that's made me more confident as well, across the board, because I've always been quite a lone wolf just in music.
Just doing your own thing.
Yeah, so that's what has been a massive thing. But also you're just really good at everything, which is actually quite annoying. But
I obviously don't look after my voice or sing very well.
Yeah.
But Becky
no,
is
not
a
the
vocal
sing very
coach.
well. You don't look after your voice. I was like,
But
yeah.
I've learned so much because Becky sort of studies this and teaches it, and it's a whole world that has opened my eyes. Every time we do something, I'm like, I need to do better, and then I go and I don't do any homework.
We'll get you there.
But I'll get there.
We'll get a good routine going.
You've said online there's much more music to come. What is next for Ember, and what can fans look forward to?
So we have a single that's just come out.
Yep.
Called Right Thing to Do, which we'll play next.
Yeah, and then we have another single. Hopefully,
Yes.
that'll be out after that one, which is called Everyone But You.
Yeah.
And then we have some gigs. We hopefully have a gig in York coming up, hopefully. And then, we're just trying to, keep up on the socials, keep us as present as possible. This year is all about us really showcasing our hard work. Like, we work really hard and
we're always writing and recording, aren't we? We've got stacks of tracks. It's just getting them out there. We get them out when we can, when we've done the visual side.
Yeah.
There's lots to come.
Your new single, Right Thing to Do, taps into something that so many people feel right now. The world is noisy, there's too much information, and it's hard to know what to believe. What led you to write about this?
Well, it's just that, really, isn't it? That's it. It is a very noisy world. There's a lot of places to put information. There's a lot of places to take information.
I think, and there was a different point of view that we also started writing from, which was the people that we were surrounded with or around, not music people. Always sort of asking what we do or how things are done, and we always felt like we had to do something different because we were in a job, that is a creative job. I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to figure out what is the right thing to do. So it kind of fell into so many different categories, didn't it?
There was one particular time, me and my partner and our friend were at the pub, and the next table, the woman just blurted out, "What are you going to do?" When we were sort of, what are you talking about? So, what are you doing? Well, we're just at the pub. No, we're
Just having a pint.
What are you doing? To change things, to change the world. Your generation. I think she thought I was younger than I am.
Oh, that's so nice.
I know, what a compliment. Your generation can change things where my generation can't. So what are you going to do? And it just started.
Yeah, that you did come up. That was a very big thing for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where
I'm
it
still
was.
flummoxed as to what I should do.
Still thinking, what shall I do?
There seems to be a shift in the song where it moves from uncertainty to defiance. The line, "I made up my mind, I found the answer," feels like a turning point. Was that always the plan, or did it evolve as you worked on it?
Definitely evolved. Yeah.
I'm glad we agreed on that.
Yeah. Imagine. No, definitely evolved. The song needed. It's quite. I wouldn't say it's a sad song, but it's an indecisive song. It's like, okay, what is the right thing to do? I think you pushed for the ending. I think you wanted it to have some resolution, which I think that's important.
I mean, it might not be a resolution as in it's just like a fake resolution for the end of the song to make the song happy, but maybe something that we can strive towards a resolution, something making a decision or.
Yeah, it can be the smallest thing, but you've decided it. That's what you're doing, and don't be ashamed of it. That's sort of where it came from.
All right.
Sadly, that's all we have time for today. We can't wait to hear what comes next for you both. But before we go, it's only right that we ask you to finish with your latest release, which of course is available on all good streaming services. Ember, play us out with Right Thing to Do.
Thank you.
There's a fire in my arms, and it's taking control. It's the combination of the things that I hold. Useless information, the truth or the false. It's hard to decipher the right thing to do. There's a fire in my arms, and it's out of control. Trying to make sense of the things that I'm told. Useless conversation, the root of our faults. It's hard to decipher the right thing to do. I got a question for you, I got a question for you, I need the answer from you, I need the answer from you, There's a fire in my arms, and it's taking control. It's the combination of the things that I hold. But I defy the reasons, I'll make up my mind. I found the answer, it's the right thing to do. Right thing to do. Right thing to do. Right thing to do.